Dispensationalists, plug your ears, because what we're about to review is going to be nails on a chalkboard to your theology, the divorce of Israel. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a very quick look at the commentary on Revelation called The Divorce of Israel by Dr. Kenneth Gentry. This commentary was published in 2024 by the Chalcedon Foundation, and I've heard a lot about it, especially from preterist interpretations like the Apologia podcast, Apologia Studios on YouTube. You see them talking about it a lot. I've heard them talking specifically about this commentary a lot on their podcast, looking forward to it. So when I heard that, I just simply had to pick it up for myself. This is pretty specific to post-mill eschatology, but it seemingly could fit some amillennial interpretations as well, but it's very specific to the partial preterist interpretation of Revelation. Dr. Kenneth Gentry is a director of Good Birth Ministries and author of over 30 books, including Before Jerusalem Fell and the Book of Revelation Made Easy. Here's the book right here. It's actually in 2 volumes, so that's volume 1, and here's volume 2. And like I said, this is a partial preterist interpretation of Revelation. This would mean that the author subscribes to the idea that the majority of the events prophesied in the book of Revelation are actually fulfilled during the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD, along with the temple's destruction then. It reads like a very long commentary. I previously read Steve Gregg's four views book. I actually have it up on the shelf over there on Revelation, and I really wanted to dig deeper into the preterist interpretation, the partial preterist, and after listening to different people, this seemed like a good stop. Quick note, if you do read the preface by Martin Selbrede of the Chalcedon Foundation, he specifically says in it that he doesn't subscribe to the partial preterist interpretation, yet he wanted to make sure that this book got published because it'd be a very new and using the latest scholarship to defend the partial preterist interpretation. So good on them for doing that. We always want to use our best foot forward and not straw men other positions, but create steel men of their position so that we fully understand what they're saying and understand why it is we agree or disagree with them. You'll see that the first couple hundred pages serve as the introduction for the commentary itself. You can kind of get the main gist of what Gentry is going to be arguing for through that introduction, and then from there he goes into a verse-by-verse commentary on the entire book. So I have actually been able to read that introduction. I haven't read any further than that, but I was able to finish that portion of the commentary. One of the main points of the commentary, which I fully agree with Gentry on this, is how Revelation has been abused by the modern church over and over and over again, especially by your Baptist, non-denominational, Pentecostal groups that subscribe to dispensational theology, and they're trying to insert Revelation into our own modern world or our own modern thoughts to try to say, well, this is going to be fulfilled this way, or I think we were all familiar with all the humongous apocalypse charts that are out there saying that this is going to happen, or trying to do some newspaper theology of saying, well, this is about to be fulfilled here, or that's about to be fulfilled there. And in the end, it just makes Christians look bad, because you have things like the Left Behind series or the movies that came out and people actually think this is going to happen. Guess what? It doesn't happen. Gentry defends the authorship of the Apostle John, stating that there's no one in the first century church that could meet the criteria of just saying that he's John, that the entire church collectively would understand and know who it is that is speaking. A key point in the preterist interpretation, of course, is the dating of the book of Revelation, because most modern scholarship likes to put it during Domitian's reign, around, I think that's 96, and that would obviously put it after the temple's destruction and Jerusalem's destruction in 70 AD. However, Gentry rejects this because using passages such as Revelation 11, 1 through 2, talking about the holy city, it would be hard to imagine that John would be speaking of anything but Jerusalem. But the problem is Jerusalem would have been destroyed if he wrote it in 96. Then a measuring rod like a staff was given to me, saying, "Get up and measure the sanctuary of God and the altar and those who worship in it, and leave out the court which is outside the sanctuary, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will trample the holy city underfoot for 42 months." Revelation here speaks as if the temple is still standing rather than it already been destroyed if it was written in 96. The holy city would be hard to imagine John speaking of anything other than Jerusalem, and the temple, of course, is located in Jerusalem. That assault that is speaking of, lasting 42 months, is in correspondent with the Vespasian engaging in war in February of AD 67 through August or September of AD 70. Gentry also states that this is a callback to Jesus' Olivet Discourse from Luke 21:24. And they will fall by the edge of the sword and will be led captive into all the nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. This entire commentary can be summed up as displaying what he calls a redemptive historical focus. Gentry tries to show you how it is important to understand who John is writing to. He isn't writing to a modern church, okay, but to the 7 churches that are in the area of Asia Minor. These churches would have experienced the things John's talking about firsthand. This tribulation that John is speaking of, he attests to as being in it himself, as well as a fellow partaker in the tribulation from Revelation 1:7. This comes in full circle with the idea that because of their unbelief, Jesus is divorcing the old covenant ethnic Israel for a new covenant church. I will quote one part of the commentary. This is coming from page 55. He says, "In light of Revelation's theme, its primary interest is in redemptive history rather than secular history, and primarily within the apostolic era. Specifically, John is dramatically presenting the approaching divine judgment soon to befall the Jewish people, their holy city, and their beloved temple. In fact, Revelation could be called a tale of 3 cities because it deals with Jerusalem as it relates to Rome and to the New Jerusalem." So first off, this is a massive 2-volume set. Book 1 is actually like 800 pages in content, and that's not including the sources. And then the other volume is the same. So you're talking about 1,800 pages that you got to be willing to go through to read this entire set. A massive undertaking, which is why I haven't read it myself yet. I was surprised when I first picked these books up. They are very, very light compared to other things that are on my shelf. When I pick these up, they're very light. When I compare this book compared to, say, Reformed Dogmatics that's back there, a book that's like comparable size, this is much lighter, much lighter. I have noticed that these books have begun to have quite a bit of scratching on the surface. They don't seem that they are super durable or that they're going to last very well. Thankfully, of course, that we're just reading them. They're just on a shelf. But I do like to take my books with me different places to be able to read them, especially on the go. Sometimes I drop them, unfortunately. It's just part of life, guys. And just keep that in mind that these books probably aren't going to stay beautiful forever if you accidentally drop them consistently like I do. So do I recommend you getting this book? Absolutely, I do. Just like Martin Selbrede said in the preface, regardless if you agree with this interpretation or not, it's important that we understand what our opponents are arguing for rather than straw-manning them. So if you want to make sure you steel-man the preterist position, or if you think you agree with it and want to understand it even fuller, this is absolutely a must-read on the topic. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope that you do pick these books up and that you read them, that we can all learn more together. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Thanks for watching.